we were going to talk about goals a little bit. I could probably actually. Do you want to just? Are you able to read out ones that you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Because I have my computer, but I don't know how I would pull up like a picture from there. Might be a little hard to find that.
Okay, so one of them was like not wanting to fear like analyzing my thoughts, like going to my brain and
Yeah, who else can relate to that? Who knows what she even means by that?
Do you want to
I know
kind
what
of
she
rephrase
means.
it? Do you want to rephrase it real quick?
not being afraid of my thoughts.
Okay, being afraid of your thoughts. Yeah.
Like not avoiding, the process of, sifting through emotion, processing your thoughts, emotions, stuff like that.
Do you feel like your thoughts
Got
just, like if you think about something too long, it just randomly goes dark after a certain point?
Okay.
And then,
Anyone else relate to that or have something else to add? Not really. No worries. So when it comes to that, why does that happen? when you're thinking about something or a series of events and then all of a sudden it just goes dark, things like that. Like what's maybe some reasons why that might happen? Anyone have anything to throw out? Just say random stuff.
I realized I had a problem with that as well. I realized that, believe it or not, one of the things was actually some sin in my life would cause me, when I would think of something, it would trigger something that like subconsciously I knew I was sinning about and I had to get under control. So if I was like thinking about, music, playing guitar or something, and then, I listened to a lot of like heavy metal, thrasher music, stuff like that. And I was, which isn't good to listen to. But like I would think about music, I would think about listening to music, and then I would think about that because that's what I would listen to. And it was like sometimes it's subconsciously sin. It's like kind of pushing towards you.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like helping you realize, which that's something that happened.
So you're talking from a standpoint of like how you feel.
Yeah, like if you're thinking
the
about
emotions
something
were
and then it
linked.
goes dark, sometimes the reason why it might go dark, something might have triggered it, and it might remind you of sin that you have in your life.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it was for me.
Yeah. Well, when life isn't as noisy, it's kind of quiet, then you start to hear different things than you did when you were throughout the day. Things are crazy, or you're listening to music, filling your mind with chaos constantly, right?
Yep.
So that's where some of that comes from. Like I know that happens to me. Like it happened this week, where I'm just just chilling. Like I meditate and I write a lot. So I was just sitting there, and like I had like negative thoughts, but I always like to focus on yes, but meaning yes, absolutely. Like some of the things that my mind is telling myself is definitely true, but I will overcome that. Or yes, but God is greater than this. Or yes, but there is a way to overcome the sin. Yes, but I won't be broke forever. Yes, but I'm going to work really hard and eventually the results are going to follow and I'm going to whatever.
Look for a silver lining.
Yeah, like does that make sense? Because if it's true, then say yes, it's true. If it's not, then it should be easy kind of to just be like, let me think about that for 10 seconds. Actually, no, that's not true. Shut up. Whatever. And then you just move on to thinking about something better. But a lot of the times, like I actually talked to my girlfriend about it because she's like, well, like, yeah, but like then like you don't want to be discouraged just like allowing yourself to think things. I'm like, yeah, exactly. But I always like whenever I'm thinking about stuff, I end with like positivity and hope by saying yes, but and then I give myself a solution or some way that I'm working on it. So that even works. Even if you're like, yeah, sure, things are bad, but here's what I'm doing to work on it. You shouldn't feel as much darkness. Does that make sense? Because then you have the light at the end. You're like, here's the solution. You're giving your emotions a solution, something to work on.
If you read the Psalms, that's literally the pattern of a lot of the Psalms. They'll start out, especially a Psalm that's like starting out negative. You're
so
like,
negative.
Oh God, like help me, save me from my enemies, and then he'll always end positive, right?
See, there
Interesting.
You go. Maybe I got it from him.
But with that, it's also the concept of guilt and shame, right? Guilt and shame, they're not the same thing. All right. So shame, and this kind of has to do a little bit with the feeling of like all the sin or whatever, right? So shame is always brings you to despair, and it's like, oh, shame's on me. Like I am this kind of person. I won't change. There's no hope, right? So shame is like, oh, shame on you. I'm shaming myself, right? It's really of the devil. That's really where it comes from. Guilt, on the other hand, is what God uses, and guilt always leads to hope, which is what he was trying to say. Is in other words, yes, like this is a situation. Maybe like I'm broke, all right, or maybe you're like, hey, man, I fell in this sin or whatever, and it's like, okay, like well, where do I go from now? Where do I go from here, right? And guilt is always looking upward. It's always hopeful, right? Like, yes, here's the truth, here's the situation, and that's okay because there is hope. And there is a process at the same time, and so you can't get discouraged about the process. A lot of times it's maybe the process is larger than you want to admit.
Where does the Bible
But
say that God won't let you fall into temptation beyond what you can handle?
1 Corinthians 10:13. That's a really good verse. You actually want to pull that up right now?
Yeah,
and read
pull
it
it up
real quick? I think that'd be good.
So practically, Brianna, how do you help yourself with embracing the abyss, the dark thoughts in your mind? So I would say you want to treat your mind in a sense like a messy room. So let's all look around and see.
7:13.
Here, give us a second. Let him finish.
Whatever.
Oh.
Let's look around the room and think of like something that could be cleaned up. Real quick, do it. Look around. Is there anything that could be cleaned up? Stop. No.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Do it.
So yeah. So pick it up. Pick it up. Good. So just put it
I
somewhere.
would've forgot.
So what was part of that action? So number one, he was conscious. If you're listening to chaotic music, are you going to be conscious, Tim?
No,
No.
that's the only thing you're gonna hear.
If you're just always online, you're looking at porn, listening to chaotic music, always like you're always like just filling your mind with chaos, you're not going to be noticing things. You're not going to be seeing things in your life that you could clean up. So you have to be conscious, and then second of all, you have to now think, okay, how do I fix that? How do I clean that up? So for you, I would say there's got to be some things that you could clean up at least a little bit. So maybe like it didn't clean up the whole room. Like there's still stuff over there and there's stuff on the tables, right? But Tim made the room a little bit more cleaner, just a little bit. You do that every day for a year, your life will be different at the end of that year. Mm-hmm. And I can attest to that because that's what I've done. Now my room at home like literally is clean. It's very organized, so is my mind. So there is a parallel between that. Okay? But then just practicing that with your mind, eventually you're going to get results. But it's just making it simple where you're like, I don't know, like let's think of maybe one thing that you would like to address, but it's difficult. Is there anything, or you could even just make up something.
I don't know, say to block it out, so I have to actually think about it.
You could like relationships or something.
Yeah.
Like let's say there's like some kind of issue with relationships. What you could do is say, all right, well, I'm gonna try to say a little bit more of this thing, or I'm gonna try to, speak my mind a little bit more. I'm gonna confront that person a little bit more than I normally am. And then you just force yourself to do that little thing, clean up a little bit. And then over time, if you keep doing that, like whatever issue is gonna be much more manageable. And then you'll just start taking more action, bigger steps, and it'll just get a lot easier. But you have to take action. You have to actually do it for it to become easier.